Tonight, escaping Sudan, a German airlift for dozens of Canadians as a deadly conflict intensifies. Growing fear for those desperate to flee.
People are dying. And we don't need anything, we just need peace.
As rival factions battle for control. Ottawa's new flight plan for passenger complaints.
There will be no more loopholes.
Revising the rules from lost luggage to long delays.
It's basically on us to prove that the airline's at fault.
Plus, kicking it Wrexham style. An overwhelming win in the ultimate underdog story.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening, everyone. We begin again tonight in a country showing imminent signs of collapse and the Canadians stuck in the battle zone.
The Sudan.
A new 72-hour ceasefire could provide a critical window for people to escape. But a previous promise between rival factions to pause fighting this weekend failed, which makes any attempt to leave extremely precarious, though some have.
Our diplomats have been extracted and are working from outside the country, and we are looking at every possible option regarding the remaining Canadian citizens.
And that includes relying on the help of allies to bring Canadians to safety. CTV's Adrian Gobriel on who is stepping up and the agony of family members here as they wait for news of their loved ones.
Teetering on the brink of a full-scale civil war, fear is spreading across the embattled nation of Sudan at a deadly pace. The airport in the country's capital of Khartoum has come under attack, with Prime Minister Trudeau confirming today that a fortunate few Canadians have been rescued from the conflict zone.
A German plane lifted off from Khartoum with one German citizen on it and 58 Canadian citizens on it.
While a positive step, there's still believed to be at least 1,600 Canadians stranded in Sudan with no clear path to getting them out. Hundreds have been killed and thousands injured since fighting broke out 10 days ago after power-sharing negotiations between the country's armed forces and its paramilitary troops rapidly deteriorated.
The sounds of the guns and the explosion, you hear them constantly during the day, during the night. And every time explosion happens, the whole body shakes.
The fighting in the streets mean that humanitarian organizations have been unable to get desperately needed provisions into the capital. Any aid reserves that were in place are now gone, according to the Red Cross.
Our warehouse in Khartoum was broken into and a lot of stocks were stolen.
A third of Sudan's population needed aid before this conflict, and now a new humanitarian disaster is unfolding in real time.
It's not just only my family. You see those kids, a lot of kids are dying. People are really dying. And so sorry. I'm so sorry.
With tears in her eyes, Akoy Malik feels powerless from her home in Toronto, while her parents and brothers are all stranded in Khartoum.
There's no water, and sometimes they don't have electricity.
It's a helpless feeling.
It is, and we don't need anything. We just need peace. That's the only thing we need.
With a 72-hour ceasefire now in place, the question is, will it hold? Meanwhile, the Canadian government confirms that Sudanese nationals here on an expiring visa will be allowed to apply for an extension to remain on Canadian soil. Omar.
An extremely tense and terrifying situation. All right, Adrian, thank you. To another tragedy in the region, the death toll involving followers of a Christian cult has climbed to at least 73. More bodies were recovered today on the ranch of cult leader Paul Mackenzie, and there are fears many more will be found. Mackenzie was arrested 10 days ago after a tip about shallow graves. Cult members reportedly believed they would go to heaven if they starved themselves. Ottawa is overhauling how air travel complaints are dealt with after its first attempt was criticized by passengers for being too slow and having too many loopholes. Now the responsibility will be on the airline to justify flight delays and disruptions or pay a penalty. Here's CTV's Ottawa Bureau Chief Joyce Napier.
New rules are coming eventually, and any improvements, say passengers, are welcome.
It's about time. I think without the government stepping in to put in some regulations, I don't think that the airlines are going to protect the passengers.
The last time we went on a trip, we got delayed, and it's basically on us to prove that the airline's at fault. They keep on blaming it on COVID, so I definitely think it's a good idea.
Under the new system the government wants to put in place, it will be up to the airlines to prove they should not compensate a passenger when there are delays and cancellations. And airlines will no longer be able to claim safety reasons or reasons beyond their control without clear proof to avoid compensating their customers.
This will make the process much simpler and push the burden of proof onto the airlines. The changes in the legislation would also include implementing standards of treatment, like paying for your food if your flight is canceled or delayed due, for example, to a snowstorm.
The airlines are already saying that the extra cost to them will be passed on to passengers.
Those fees, those monies have to be recouped somewhere. So I think there's a safe supposition that we may see an impact on fares as a result of this.
But there will be exemptions for the airlines that are still to be determined.
The Liberals have chosen to double down on an approach that's complex, bureaucratic, and expensive.
Lost luggage, delays, cancellations. Last summer and during the winter break, the compensation process failed. The Canadian Transportation Agency, which manages the complaints, still has a backlog of 45,000 complaints that could take, in some cases, years to solve.
The current CTA process is not built for speed, is not built for efficiency.
The new rules still have to go through Parliament and may undergo some changes before they're implemented this fall. But until then, Omar, old rules apply.
All right, Joyce, thank you. Passengers on an American Airlines flight had a scare shortly after takeoff.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. We had a bird strike and an engine failure.
The plane was flying out of Columbus, Ohio yesterday morning when a bird strike caused one of the right wing engines to ignite. The pilot turned around and landed safely. A man was taken to hospital with minor injuries after a plane crash in Collingwood, Ontario. Simcoe County paramedics say a four-seater Cessna came down in a farm field yesterday as the lone pilot was attempting an emergency landing. And there are new details tonight about the $20 million heist at Toronto's Pearson Airport. International security company Brinks has confirmed it was coordinating the shipment when gold and other assets were stolen. The theft took place last Monday and no arrests have been made. Brinks says it's working with police and that it has a policy to reimburse customers when items are lost. Thousands of striking federal government workers are now threatening to escalate their fight with both sides of the fence, accusing each other of dragging their feet on a deal. Here's CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver.
Ottawa's picket lines appeared slightly smaller and quieter after 6 days of striking. But the union is threatening an escalation, with picket lines popping up in strategic locations, including ports across the country.
It's going to slow everything down. Trucks will be slowed down at the border. It'll be hard to cross.
The Public Service Alliance of Canada is ratcheting up the pressure on a government who today sent out an open letter suggesting that union leadership is making unrealistic demands, including around the use of contractors. Reducing it to zero would severely compromise the government's ability to deliver services. Ottawa's message to PSAC: accept the offer on the table.
I would urge union representatives to roll up their sleeves. Let's resolve this with the very fair terms that the federal government has put forward.
As I said, my friends!
Over the weekend, PSAC's president sparred with Ottawa, accusing the government of delaying the negotiating process. Today, however, a softening in tone and rhetoric.
We're past that, and as I've said, there were some good discussions today with Treasury Board, and I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to start moving this process forward, get to a deal.
A deal workers on the line are surprised has not been reached.
Honestly, it's causing a lot of tension, a lot of anxiety. I haven't slept well the past week, to put it simply. Not knowing each day whether the next day I'm going into work or I'm coming out here.
Really wish I wasn't here.
That's honestly how I felt. I mean, yes, solidarity, but it sucks.
To be honest, I thought it's only going to last for a day or so, but it's not.
I'm assuming it's going to go slowly, but we're getting there, and it's hopefully going to be done soon.
The government says the union came to the table with more than 570 demands. Now just 4 key demands remain. The biggest, Omar, wage increases and remote work.
All right, Annie, thank you.
Today, this father learned his son will never open his eyes again. 31-year-old Harlan Forey has been in a vegetative state since he was found unresponsive in a bar in northern Manitoba Saturday, one of multiple victims in a widespread overdose emergency.
They were found on the floor, all 4 of them. Those 3 had a heartbeat, so they were able to administer the Narcan. My son, however, didn't have a heartbeat.
By Sunday afternoon, police had a total of 7 overdose victims, 6 from the PAW and 1 in the city of Thompson. It was there, police believe, they may have found the drugs. Possibly ecstasy, laced with an opioid, likely fentanyl or carfentanil. RCMP have released this image in hopes of preventing others from using the drug.
You'd hate to see it spread even further. You know, the PAW is close to the Saskatchewan border. You've got a lot of First Nations community up north. It doesn't take long to cover a long distance, so for these drugs being pushed into other areas, the results can be catastrophic.
In the PAW, a town of just over 5,000 people, 6 overdoses is alarming.
How terrible this is, but you can almost start becoming a little bit angry because of, you know, what prevention plans are in place to be able to get this stuff off the street.
That's what a grieving father wants to know too, because just one hit, one time has left this family broken.
It's almost weekly now where we're hearing somebody dying from overdose. And never did I ever think that it would come to my doorstep. And here we are.
The family will remove Harlan Forey from life support later this week, and they hope it's not only his story that will help save lives. He is being assessed as an organ donor. Jill Makashon, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Coming up after the break, the tale of 2 high-profile cable news departures, plus
pulses of greenish light every 1 or 2 seconds moving over your head.
Cosmic kaleidoscopes, mesmerizing moments captured in Canada. Major shakeups today at 2 U.S. media giants where the breaking news was about their own anchors. Fox News announced it parted ways with right-wing firebrand Tucker Carlson, while CNN's Don Lemon says he was fired after 17 years with the network. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbin looks at what's behind the changes.
Hi, everyone. And we'll be back on Monday.
Signing off, neither host had a clue that they had been axed.
We want to thank Tucker Carlson for his service to the network.
Fox News gave no explanation why it parted ways with its bombastic, far-right, top-rated anchor, Tucker Carlson, who championed the pro-Donald Trump agenda.
It's a seismic shift for Fox News. He found a way to trash people on the left side of the spectrum and to blame them for all of America's ills.
The cable news shocker comes days after Fox settled a landmark lawsuit with Dominion Voting Systems. Executives and anchors exposed for knowingly spreading false claims that Dominion's machines were rigged against Trump. And there's more. The popular host is also being sued by a former producer over a hostile work environment.
Women were objectified. It was a game. It was a sport. It was like being in a locker room.
While Carlson's departure was celebrated by some, Donald Trump Jr. predicted Fox's demise.
To see him go is mind-boggling.
I don't know what they're thinking. The company is down $1 billion in market cap.
Over at CNN, Don Lemon was reportedly pushed out for offensive comments he's made about women on air. The latest about Republican presidential hopeful Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait. Lemon regretted his remarks, but Nikki Haley wasted no time tweeting, "To women everywhere, don't ever let anyone tell you you're past your prime."
Both anchors, defined by the Donald Trump years, have reportedly hired the same lawyer to fight back. And Carlson already has a job offer from Russian state TV. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
Pop star Ed Sheeran is expected to testify in New York this week in a case of copyright infringement over his 2014 hit Thinking Out Loud.
Thinking out loud, maybe
Sheeran was sued in 2017 by relatives of a songwriter who worked on Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On. Have a listen to both, beginning with Sheeran.
Darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. And if you feel like I feel, baby, then come on.
Sheeran denies copying the song, and his lawyers say the tunes share a similar and freely available chord progression. A former Dancing with the Stars judge known for his pointed critiques has died.
The one constant throughout the whole thing was that your footwork was bad.
Len Goodman was a professional ballroom dancer serving as the head judge on the BBC's Strictly Come Dancing for 12 years and on Dancing with the Stars until his retirement last November. His agent says he was diagnosed with bone cancer. Goodman was 78. Still ahead, a soccer story made for Hollywood. The stars align for an incredible victory. There was a compelling appeal today from elite Canadian athletes aimed at Ottawa.
The players who deserve your admiration are the ones you've never heard of. The ones who took a brave stand against abusive coaches. Sorry. The ones who took a brave stand against abusive coaches and administrators with no protection and lost everything. Their voices and their treatment matter equally, if not more, to those who stayed silent and played on, and their stories deserve to be told through a national inquiry.
Professional soccer player Kira McCormick told a House committee she was ashamed to be Canadian because of the sustained silence on demands for public inquiry into abuse in sports. One of the oldest soccer teams in the world and its devoted supporters are still basking in the glow of a stunning championship. The Wrexham club in Wales gained international fame because of its star-studded owners, including Canadian Ryan Reynolds, and now they've been promoted to a higher league. CTV's Melanie Nagy on their incredible journey.
A historic win in the Welsh town of Wrexham had all the elements of a classic Hollywood film, one in which soccer fans went wild as their underdog team secured a decisive victory, promoting them to the English Football League and prompting their proud celebrity owners to emotionally embrace.
Wrexham have their storybook ending.
Wrexham's tale of success, which has been years in the making, received international attention after...
One thing that's running through my head over and over again is people said at the beginning, why Wrexham? Why Wrexham? This is exactly why Wrexham.
BC's own Ryan Reynolds and his business partner Rob McElhenney purchased the team in 2021.
And the next thing you knew, we were co-chairman of Wrexham Red Dragons.
The actors are credited with breathing new life and bringing new revenue into the football club, which is one of the oldest in the world. They also created a docuseries that's helped boost the team's profile.
At the end of the day, I don't think anybody gives a shit about how nice the management is. Supporters of that club want wins. They want results.
Champions! And results like the recent championship win and league promotion have fans overjoyed. Some even combining their passion for the team with a love of Reynolds movies.
I've dressed up as Deadpool, and I've been the most famous I've ever been all my life.
As for the next chapter of the Wrexham story, just like a blockbuster movie, there will be a sequel. A new season and a new chance to chase another league title. Melanie Nagy, CTV News, Vancouver.
And speaking of second chances, here is a dramatic escape from death caught on camera. This man, skiing down the French Alps, plunged into a hole. That open crack was a deep glacier crevasse. He slid several feet into darkness before he could stop the descent with his skis. The ski group he was part of was on hand with ice screws, axes, and rope. and helped pull him out to safety. An unexpected visitor popped up at an Alaska movie theater. A surveillance camera caught the moment a moose wandered in, surprising a worker at the concession counter. The animal roamed around for a few minutes and ate a bit of popcorn, but it didn't take in a movie as it made a leisurely exit. And from that fun sight to a dazzling display after the break.
It was such a beautiful night. It was kind of that first sneak peek of summer nights to come.
A light show like no other. Some incredibly detailed photos of Mars' little moon have been sent back to Earth. These images of Deimos released today were taken by the United Arab Emirates Amal spacecraft. The sky was alive with vibrant colors across Canada this weekend, with the northern lights seen in places they don't usually appear. CTV's Chris Najkate on the rare display.
What was supposed to be a quiet Sunday night in for Skylar McDonald and her partner turned into a sudden late-night adventure.
We were not aware that this was happening. We were actually watching a show. We were about to go to bed.
After seeing friends posting photos to social media, they drove out to Cape Breton's Lake Ainslie to capture these stunning images using long exposure photography.
It was such a beautiful night, and what made it even more beautiful was that the peepers were out and there was loons calling in the distance, and it was kind of that first sneak peek of summer nights to come.
The light show was so bright it could be seen from parts of Canada and the United States.
That was the best show I've ever seen last night. It was absolutely incredible.
Stephen Brown decided to leave his home in Calgary and drive more than an hour to clearer skies. He snapped these photos in Canmore while surrounded by mountains.
It's just something that you can't force. It happens when Mother Nature says it's going to happen. So to actually be there to witness it, it sends shivers down your spine. It's absolutely incredible.
According to experts, the lights are a result of a large geomagnetic storm after a solar flare erupted from the sun.
Those colors, what we see, is caused by interactions from charged particles from the sun, so electrons, protons, interacting with our atmosphere.
Tiffany Fields is an astronomy technician who operates this robotic telescope at St. Mary's University in Halifax. In her 10 years in Nova Scotia, this is only her second time seeing the Northern Lights.
The Northern Lights here in Nova Scotia is generally a pretty rare phenomenon. Generally, we're too far south to really see the Northern Lights.
Researchers predict these intense colors will be seen more often as the sun reaches the end of its 11-year cycle in 2025. Chris Najkate, CTV News, Halifax.
Breathtaking beauty, what a sight. And that's a snapshot of this Monday. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching and have a good night.